But anyways.
Don't worry if you haven't. We will try to make it more interactive for you guys so that we are engaged.
Yeah, we do tend to talk a lot and be interactive, so it's all good. And people are still coming in the door. That's all good, too. So my name is Michael McGarry. I'm a product manager at Cisco.
And this is Devinder Kathuria. I am the product manager at Cisco too, and my focus is more around Cisco Webex Teams.
And my focus is on Webex Meetings as well as a bunch of scheduling and calendaring integrations. So what we'd like to talk about is how workplace has been transforming over the years. And one of the things that we see is this picture, this lovely picture of nice cubes. This is, I think, in San Jose Building 21. And it was really, really awful, dingy environment. And we're moving towards a modern workplace where workforce gets a lot of things done within teams. Teams is the new thing. We create things around teams and being able to collaborate across a bunch of teams rather than individual contributors. Individual contributors certainly do still as a part of our work stream and workflows, but what we are actually seeing is a lot more things around Webex Teams works and being able to create teams of people to actually get more work done. Those teams then end up becoming more distributed not only just within a building or across buildings, but also geographically distributed around the entire world. Then you end up with people that also sometimes have desktop applications and room systems, as well as people that have mobile phones. How many people take calls on mobile phones these days? Everybody, right? Do we have meetings on mobile phones too? Yes? No? Meetings, mobile phones? I know John does. And yes, we have some other people, right? So actually, we are changing this entire paradigm of how we're actually meeting by using all kinds of different devices across all kinds of different geographies and around the world. One of the things that we've looked at is that we've seen, there's been a number of studies around this, but effective team communications is 72% of the respondents of several surveys that were done were around effective team communications is the leading most important thing that they care about within the corporation. The other thing is that 68% of these particular respondents in this particular survey was all around fostering collaboration for a wide range of geographically distributed and geographically dispersed teams of individuals that do need to meet on a regular basis and to be able to collaborate on a regular basis. So calling isn't the only thing in the entire ecosystem.
So for this audience, as you know, probably you are leading from the calling. So, but as we all know that calling is not just the only thing what comprises of collaboration today. When you look at the collaboration today, basically it comprises of messaging, conferencing, web conferencing, whiteboarding. I think this is becoming more norm nowadays, is that especially when we have a virtual teams where I want to really draw something to explain versus trying to say something over the phone. And the capabilities such as I should be able to create the documents, edit the documents, something which basically is becoming an inherent part of the whole collaboration.
So being able to take and have calendared events, and it's just not emails either, but it's also how can we then take and edit collaboration. We can edit documents together, create documents together, and be a part of an entire ecosystem of being able to collaborate more effectively. Now, we have an entire portfolio of products that you're going to see at various times in this week that you've actually seen probably some of it this morning in the keynote sessions.
Yeah, so I think for this particular session, what we are trying to focus is on Webex Meetings and Webex Teams. Now, having said that, as we all understand, is that for the Webex Teams and Webex Meetings to really, they are getting powered by the platform, which we call like a Webex platform. And if you look at the big pillars here, so when we start thinking about what's Cisco Webex, so Cisco Webex is a suite of applications that really allow you to do a one-to-one messaging. Example is a side conversation between two people, or I want to schedule a meeting and join the meeting. So whatever your use cases are, you can leverage all those use cases with Cisco Webex. Now, so the platform.
So as a part of the platform that we have then with Webex, is we also have analytics and also management, all within a single portal that we call the Control Hub. On top of that, this is all created, and all the messages, all the whiteboards, everything that actually has been being shared is end-to-end encryption using our leading industry encryption that we call KMS, or Key Management System. So we individually create individual keys for every message that's actually sent, and we can only then decode it if you have the decryption keys and access to the decryption key, and only the people that are in that particular space have the ability to access that particular key.
So Michael, does that mean that if we have a space among two of us, no one else can see the messages even if they want to?
No, actually inside of Cisco, we have no ability to even read this, which by the way makes a little bit of serviceability more difficult because we can't even read in the database what a message is. It's just a bunch of symbols. So as a part of that, we also have the ability to add on top of this not only our direct integrations that we build. In fact, we use the exact same APIs that we create public APIs for, and we expose and allow third-party integrators such as yourselves to be able to integrate with our platforms to create not only messages, spaces, membership of those spaces, but also then creating the meetings around those spaces too. Gartner and a number of other, like IDC, have rated Cisco Webex as the #1 in almost every different category that's been rated so far. There's very seldom that you'll not see Cisco Webex up at the very top or top right corner if we're using the Magic Quadrant from Gartner. So Webex is a leading industry-leading technology in this field. And as such, we then end up with some crazy numbers that sometimes my head can't even wrap around. So we start talking about 300,000 collaboration customers, but what blows my mind is 136 million people use Webex every month, which is a lot of people that use meetings within Webex. And when you start looking at 77 billion meeting minutes per year, that's just a number that's very hard to fathom.
Is it like a billion as a B, or?
B is in a capital B,
Yeah,
billion, right? So we are #1 market share, and that's kind of obvious by not only the numbers, but also all of the industry has been talking about this. So as a part of the Webex Meetings group, let's talk a little bit about some of the changes. The latest updates from Webex, and if you're on the latest unlocked versions of Webex, you'll actually start to see, in fact you should be already seeing it today, a completely brand new video-centric layouts and brand new video-centric controls that'll make it a whole lot easier to use. It's also a completely refreshed UI that looks a lot more modern now instead of a little bit older versions. So if you looked at some of the previous versions of Webex, if you're on a lockdown version, you're not quite getting this version yet. But if you were to look at a unlocked version, this is what it looks like. Lockdown version looks a lot different. It's a lot less modern, but we have a lot more modern user interfaces nowadays.
So does that mean that if I'm a user who is not on lockdown release, is it available to me today, or do I have to wait for some more time?
Yeah, so if you're on an unlocked release, it's available already today. In fact, you should be seeing it. Once we updated the platform, it just shows up. Yes? Yep, so let's talk just briefly about locked and unlocked versions. A lot of organizations like to stick on a lockdown version. And the reason that the lockdown version exists is primarily because if an organization has, let's say, 100,000 users, they may have to train those users on a particular version. Now, that's great, well and good, and we create lockdown versions for those particular use cases. However, and I think that was a part of a historical thing, but as modern software and cloud-based software moves along very quickly, we do change a lot very quickly. And so if you want to use all the modern interfaces, all the latest user experiences that we're creating, which have created some fantastic user experiences, then we'd really recommend people to move to an unlocked version. In fact, our largest customer in the world right now has moved to an unlocked version, and there are more than 100,000 people in that particular company. So it is possible to actually move to an unlocked version, but only if the organization allows for that to happen. Does that make sense? Yes, the answer is yes. So either way. So the customer could say, hey, I want to be an unlocked version, but then that also depends upon the service provider has to be able to provide that, right? Yes. Does that answer? Okay. So let's go on. We've created a number of user experiences around the Webex Meetings platform, and we'll talk a little bit about the Teams platform and how it also integrates. But in terms of the Webex Meetings platform itself, one of the things that we've been talking about, and I know that Amy has been talking about this a lot, who is our EVP, is one button to push. Seeing a join button show up to be able to easily join any meeting, anywhere, anytime. You see the join button, you tap the join button, you join the meeting. That's how easy it is to do. As a part of that new video-first experience, we have a brand new user interface around that. I think it's a fantastic user interface. I'm a very video-centric person. I have video up all the time, and so I really do like the new video-centric view. And also, we require a lot less effort in navigating the actual product now. So we have a button bar that shows up, and this is the same button bar that we're crossing across all the different clients. So whether you're using the Jabber client, you're using the Teams client, or you're using the Webex client, all of them have the same navigation functions of muting video, sharing your presentation, and also that user experience extends to the mobile. So mobile applications have the same user experience, same interfaces, and same design as the desktop clients do. Now from this, I told you for a moment there about calendar integration. We do integrate directly with Office 365, Exchange on-premises, as well as Google. So we do direct integrations with all of those three platforms today and provide one button to push integration and easy scheduling. Now, on top of that, we want to be able to message within the applications as well. And so what kind of applications could we be messaging from and using the Teams or the Meetings experience?
So the good news is that the way, and I think that's where the power of platforms comes into play, that because it's a platform, so now if you are a Slack user or you are a Microsoft Teams user, so from those applications, you can actually integrate Webex Meetings, and you would get exactly the same experience, same one button to push, as you would get if you only have Webex Teams and Webex Meetings. Now, so when we talk about the integrations, so the key thing is besides this Slack and Microsoft Teams, so we are also emphasizing a lot more into our education area. So for the education, we are doing the similar integrations with Canvas, Moodle, Sakai, and D2L. So that's where I think our integration story is more around we are an open environment, open platform, and we will integrate with pretty much anyone and everyone who is actually willing to really work with us.
What about if I wanted to have a meeting from my car?
Yes, I mean, how many have seen this with the Ford? So we have recently had an integration with the Ford where on the CarPlay, now you can join a Webex meeting.
That's pretty cool. All right, so do you want to talk about some Teams?
Absolutely. How many of you actually are using Teams in your day-to-day? Quite a number of people.
Okay, so if you haven't, go to teams.webex.com and download it. It's free. Sign up. And then you can start collaborating with all your colleagues. A little plug for you.
Thank you. So yeah, when we, Webex Teams, I think that the question which keeps on coming is, what is Webex Teams? And where do I use it? Why do I use it? So think it Webex Teams as like a set of applications or tools that allow you to really have a continuous teamwork. But because when we think about collaboration, it is not just an hour of a meeting that I attended, and then I got done with that.
So wait a minute. So you're saying, Devinder, if I have a meeting with John, thanks for sitting on the front row, John. If I have a meeting with John for an hour, then I should stop talking to him after that, right?
So I think that's typically the way when we look at the collaboration. I think we always think about like, okay, I'm doing a meeting, I'm done with the meeting, and I should be, I'm done. But I think the key thing here is, look, even before the meeting, we already have some conversation going on, whether it's in the email, whether it's going into our one-to-one, maybe a text message or whatever we are doing, right? And even when the meeting is done, after that also you needed some follow-up. It's not really a one snapshot where I have a transaction and it's done. And that's the reason when we look at the teams, this really makes us provide a tool that can really get us into the continuous teamwork, whether I have a team which is spread across the globe, or I have a team where I have probably, the example would be that I'm a marketing guy and I interact a lot with the customers. So for those customers, my traditional way of doing the things is I exchange the emails with them for everything, and then I set up a meeting for using some other tool, and then after the meeting, I go back to my email for the follow-up. Whereas in this case, with the teams, you are doing everything in the teams. You are doing pre-meeting, you are doing all the meeting experience, and after you are done, you have everything resides in the meetings.
So therefore, I can actually have continuous collaboration?
That's the power of team. So just to expand on that, so when you think about our customers, so our customers typically, they are on the different journeys. I mean, for the priorities for one customer will be very different on the collaboration than the priority for the other customers. So for some, the calling is the biggest use case for them. But for the others, what they're looking at is that how do I also get into the messaging, the whiteboarding? Even when I start thinking about collaboration, I think for me, it's not just doing a calling or doing a meeting. I think file sharing or co-editing on the files, that are all integral parts of the whole experience. Now, to add to that, I think one thing which probably Michael touched upon in the Webex meetings is that because it's a platform, we allow third-party integrations. That means that if you have some specific workflows, we do allow you to integrate teams into those workflows.
So I think one of those examples of the workflows that I actually use every day is that if there's a customer case that comes in that gets escalated to the business unit for being looked at, as a product manager for parts of the applications, I'm actually automatically included in a brand new space that gets created for that escalation with all the customer information in one space. And then we can easily add people when we need more expertise for that particular situation.
Absolutely, and at any given time, when we feel that all the collaboration what we are doing in the Webex Teams, we need to quickly jump into the call. All we need is a one button, and we can, all of us could be in a video call or an audio call. That's all within the Webex Teams.
That sounds great.
Yes. Yeah.
So, big user of Webex Teams.
Uh-huh.
Love it. Why do you still have a meeting slide? Why couldn't you just do everything within Webex Teams?
That's a really good question. And the fact is that not all customers have or need the one and desire to have messaging within the same application. So we still have two separate applications. One's just the meetings application, if that's what they need to do. And then we have on top of that the entire Teams application, which allows us to have the collaboration of the messaging as well as sharing files, creating teams, and so on. So not all customers, though, will actually need that, and that's why there's two separate applications currently today.
So just to add on that, as Michael stated in his early slides, we have like 57 million, you said, users today using Webex Meetings?
157 every month,
yeah.
or 153,000 use it every month.
So when you look at that number of users, we know that not everyone will be willing to go on the Teams on the day one, right? So that's the reason, what we are doing is at Cisco, we are going where our customers are. Instead of saying that, hey, you know what, I only have Webex Teams and I want all of you to go to Webex Teams on the day one.
There's a question over here.
On the Webex Teams portion, and going back to the slide where
Yes, we do. Yeah, so it's, the slide actually was when Webex Meetings, and so Webex Meetings integrates with Microsoft Teams. Does that make more sense? No, probably not. So if a customer's already chosen to go to Microsoft Teams for whatever reason, then what we have is we have Webex Meetings integration with Microsoft Teams. And we do have some improvements on that coming first of next year too. Oh, it's a much better video experience, in my opinion. Of course, I work here, so. Yeah, it's interesting. As we've started looking at it, and I can talk to you offline if you want afterwards, I have a lot of deep knowledge on it. Been spending an awful lot of time in the past couple months on this. And there is actual real value in having Webex meetings inside of Microsoft Teams. It's a lot better experience on a number of different fronts for a lot of different reasons.
So I think, as probably you might have heard this morning when Scott and Larissa were talking about better together. So obviously, if you have everything Cisco, you get a better experience. But having said that, if you have Microsoft Teams and you still want to use Webex, you would, because from the meetings point of view, we give you a superior experience. On top of that, we also do the integration with all the good devices. So that way, if you have like a fancy room systems, you can get a good experience on those devices, which you won't get otherwise with Microsoft Teams. So moving on, when we start thinking about Webex Teams, one thing which probably a few of you have already used Jabber, I'm assuming, or Skype for Business. So I think one of the consistent feedback was, hey, how do I really get people who are outside my organization and collaborate with them? In a traditional world, it was always an email because the tools normally don't allow us to do that. But with Webex Teams, all I need is, for example, today I'm talking to a partner, and all I need is their email addresses, and now I can create a space with that partner within the Webex Teams. So that's where I think there's a key thing where from the Teams point of view, we are agnostic to whether you are in the organization or you are outside the organization. Having said that, we still differentiate that so that when you are sharing some information, so you know that the information I'm sharing, the stakeholders are all internal or they are both internal and external. So that way you are mindful of what you are sharing. And so the good part is with the way we have set up the whole spaces, there is no owner. Everyone can send the messages. It's not that only you have to be a paid user to send the message. Anyone and everyone can send the messages. And anyone and everyone can create the whiteboards or edit the whiteboards or do annotation on the whiteboards.
So one of the things I'd like to talk about is the ability to schedule right from the space. So in talking about Microsoft Teams, by the way, this is very difficult to do. But within Webex Teams, there's a waffle iron or waffle activity circle. What are we calling it these days? Activity circle, I guess?
Yes.
So we tap on the waffle in the upper right-hand corner, and we'll bring up an activities pane. And in the activities pane, you tap on meetings. If you tap on meetings, then you can schedule a meeting directly from the Teams application. It directly opens up Outlook or Google Calendar if you're a Google Calendar customer. And it pre-populates the two-line with all the people that are members of the space, renames the subject of the meeting, puts all the join details in, and all you have to do is select a date and time and hit the send button. So everything is done for you. It's a magical experience when this is integrated properly and actually used properly. Then, once you schedule the meeting, we pick that meeting back up, post it as a message in the stream, as well as you can see on that meetings page, you can see all of the upcoming meetings for that particular space, all within the Teams client.
So just extending on to what we talk about the platform. So with the Webex Teams, you can now really leverage the platform to integrate with the third-party tools. So whether it is for your business applications or the workflows, we allow you to integrate Webex Teams with those workflows. And you can share contents and files. So that's a rich piece of the whole collaboration is that, hey, I have some contents. How do I need to go back to the emails to share those contents? No, you have the Webex Teams that allows you to also share the contents within the spaces.
So what if I shared content like 6 months ago? How could I find that information?
That's an excellent question. So the way we do that is whenever we are adding the contents, we actually do a indexing on everything and anything that goes in that document. So you can do a search, and search allows you to really look into the files as well, not just the file title, but actually looking at the contents within the file.
And that's also end-to-end encrypted too?
Absolutely. So that's the whole power. It's like Webex Teams, anything and everything is end-to-end encrypted. And that's one of the reasons our search has to be really, really intelligent enough that when you're doing a search, you are not really at any given time leaving the contents unencrypted, and it should be always. So our motto had been from the design is like at whether the data was in transit or at rest, it should be always encrypted.
So it doesn't even decrypt it in the web server like a lot of other applications do?
It does not. So we don't leave the data unencrypted at any given time.
That's fantastic.
Right, so I think we talked a lot about meetings earlier, but I think when we start thinking about that, so as Michael mentioned, that you can schedule the meetings from within the Webex Teams. And the good part is when you are scheduling the meeting within the Teams, each and every member that's in the space, they are automatically sent the invite for the meeting. You don't have to really explicitly call out who are the participants of the meeting. And those participants, they can join the meeting from anywhere. Your mobile device, your video device, desktop app, web app, anywhere they are. As a matter of fact, those participants can also join the meeting from their Webex Meetings app as well. And with the calendar integration, now whenever you're in the meeting, you can see who is joined the meeting, who is in the roster. So all the information is available to each and every participant, not just the host. And as anything else, in the meetings, you can share the contents, recordings, and files anytime, anywhere in the meetings. And by the way, anyone can do that. It's not really just the host who has the privileges. Anyone and everyone has the privileges to share the files, do a whiteboarding, and as a matter of fact, we showed in the demo this morning that when you are in a meeting, now you want to move the meeting to the Webex device, you can just simply detect the device and move the meeting there.
But that's more like intelligently done somehow?
Yes, that's the proximity pairing, and we're going to spend some time talking about intelligent proximity.
That's fantastic.
So one thing I want to highlight here is we are focusing on delivering the consistent experience, irrespective of whether you are joining the meeting from Webex tools and applications, or you are joining the meeting from Salesforce or from Slack or for Microsoft. We will have one single button to push, and you join the meeting and you get the same experience.
So we provide even a link for Skype for Business users directly in the meeting invitation that they can tap on, and they can use the Skype for Business client to actually connect to any of these meetings as well. And it's available globally across all Webex meetings and all Webex Teams meetings currently today. There's a question. Yep, we're in process of working on some of those right now. I couldn't hear it.
No, that was the biggest thing I wanted to hear.
Okay.
I think,
quarter or so? Okay.
I think there's a separate track on UC1 where they are going to share more details about what's the roadmap is for UC1 to integrate with the Webex meetings.
Right. I mean, a lot of I have UC1, but clearly this is more superior when it comes to full-on collaboration, right? So, but if you want one tool where customers can just go, I'm in a meeting, I can also one. If it doesn't pop the UC1 thing line, great. But I was curious about the roadmap.
So one of the things that we do is we do create integrations even within our own company. So we offer a lot of APIs, and then other teams consume those APIs. And so we've created these frameworks that allow that to happen. And I apologize that I don't have the details specifically on that particular client integration, but it sounds like we do have a session on what UC1 that can be discussed. So I apologize, I don't know the details on that. Yes?
Yeah, I was just going to say from a Webex Teams perspective too, and we're a broadcast shop, obviously, but you know, I have like an interest when I'm talking to a customer. I think it's very interesting. It's just interesting to start talking to them about Webex Teams,
Mm-hmm.
and then fold in the telephony piece of it.
Yes.
But you do have another track, which I think is what UC1 is going to cover, which is say, I'm going to sell a PDF, so we start from the telephony track.
Mm-hmm.
And then the customer wants some collaboration, and this is so powerful and could really differentiate our PBX with this is coming from the Webex side.
Yeah, I'm looking for a particular product manager I don't see in the room. So,
But I think, so I think someone shared the slide this morning where, so from the broad cloud world, BroadSoft world, I think you are coming from the calling. And then from the Cisco's or the Cisco who's traditionally into enterprise, we are coming from collaboration, right? And then there's like a small, in the middle, there's like a sweet spot, which is like a big enough for us to really focus on. And that's where I think, this whole session is about that. How do we really, focus on that sweet spot and try to position Webex Teams and Meetings into them?
If you want to sell Webex Teams as you just want to go out and start selling Webex Teams with or without the telephony behind it, that's my understanding is that's something you work with the systems for that you don't work with your Webex.
no, you can. So if you actually sell a Flex deal or a Flex license at all, then you get Teams for free. It's included in every Flex license. So if you're going to sell that, then absolutely, this is already included. Webex Teams is already included. Now, there's an advanced meetings function beyond just the Teams and what it does today, because it does quite well today, but there is advanced meetings, which then offers all the way up to 1,000 people in a meeting. So there's an advanced meetings license that you can add on top of that. But certainly, normal Webex Teams is included already in the Flex deals.
So basically, that gives you a leverage here that, when your customers are using Webex Teams, they are get familiarized with the experience, and now you have incentive for them to upsell now meetings to them.
Yes?
I was wondering within the partner structure, concept of dual partner. So is, say, an existing Webex Teams partner, the ability to offer the calling element of that to that partner that's an established business.
So I'm not in the partner group, so I can't answer that particular question, but I'm seeing that you can actually do that. I just don't know the details of that transaction. So I apologize, I don't know the details of that one, but.
All right. So moving on. So when we talk about, that on the Webex Teams.
So let me ask you a question though. Let me ask you, how many people do whiteboards today? Anybody do whiteboarding at all? Oh, you gotta be kidding me, right? 3 people? Okay, a couple more people are now sort of, oh yeah, I do. Like, I can't get through any conversation in a meeting, and several people that know me in the room know this, without getting up on a whiteboard and start drawing, right? Because I have to describe what it is that I'm trying to do, right?
So maybe a different flavor of the question is, how many of you wish that when you are in a conversation with someone, you say, I wish I could draw?
Okay, that's good. So as a part of being able to do that drawing thing.
So that is where I think with the Webex Teams, you get this capability that you can simply, in a one-to-one space or in a larger space, you can simply start creating the whiteboard and drawing over the whiteboard. You don't really need a whiteboard as a physical board. You can simply, take your application, and if you have like an iPad and you have a pencil, you can start drawing it. That's basically gives you that, something what your vision is that, okay, this is how it looks like. Now you can actually take this and draw it and share with people who are in the call or meeting with you.
So one of the things that I have noticed is that if I'm in a conference room and we have a board, the Webex board in there, we might actually start in that Webex board. But then I'm not always in that conference room, so it saves it to the space that we've been having a conversation. In fact, this happened 2 weeks ago when I was in Shanghai. I was talking with the engineering team for Jabber, and we were starting to whiteboard, and we had a board up there. So we started whiteboarding on the board. It automatically saved it to the space for the other PMs that were in that particular meeting, and then we can follow up later and even edit it later with iPad, desktop, doesn't matter, or even another board that I came and I used in San Jose, for instance, because I was in San Jose last week. So it's fantastic to be able to use whiteboarding and being able to have a whiteboard across all these applications, and they're just seamlessly available at all times.
So one thing which probably you may have heard from Cisco is now that we are building islands, not bridges. And this is one example of that. It's like you are so much used to using Microsoft Office apps. So in those Office apps, now if you want to really add the whole collaboration capabilities, you can do that. So we have the integration which is in the works right now where you can have a Microsoft Word document which you can co-edit in the Teams. And pretty much once you are doing co-editing, it can send a notification from there. If you want to really have a quick call or a meeting, you can simply do it from within the space.
In that example of co-ops, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you use Word as a document. Does it open up the document within the Teams client, or is it outside of the Teams client?
It will be in the Microsoft Word application. Yeah.
Actually, we have some work on that.
Yes, I mean, we have shared that in probably GSX.
Yeah, we did share that
yeah.
in a little bit more public
Yeah.
forums,
Yeah.
that we actually are having the capability of using OneDrive and SharePoint Online to store the file, and then you can use Word Online, PowerPoint Online, and edit within Teams.
That was my question.
Yes, we will be doing that. First of next year, we'll have that available. And then on top of that, if you have Word application and you happen to be editing a document and you wanted to take and bring some people in to have a conversation about that, then from within the Word document or PowerPoint or whatever, Excel, then you can tap a button on Cisco Webex Teams and actually have a conversation about it right within the Word thick application. So that's also coming. And we've shown that in some videos. In fact, this week it'll be shown at the Partner Summit out in Vegas. So I'm not certain that I'm not going to be violating anything by telling you that.
So Webex Teams work together irrespective of the devices you have. Now, when we're looking at the video devices, so with the video devices, you get the 4K video, you get the intelligent framing. Now, how many of you saw that this morning when we were doing the demo here? It's like, you can do a facial recognition, so you can exactly know, and that happens most of the time with us. Like, we are in a meeting where we don't know who are the people who are speaking. Now, when you have a name attached to who's speaking, look at the experience you get. And you get a wireless sharing. So pretty much, if you have a device and you are on the laptop with the Webex Teams app, we do intelligent proximity with that. Now you can do a wireless share your screen as well.
Yeah, so within the capabilities of the endpoints and these beautiful 4K sensors that are inside the endpoints nowadays, we have the capability of recognizing faces. But it's obviously more than that. You saw this morning the ability to do facial recognition and see actual people's names up underneath here. So there's a whole lot of intelligence then that we can create around that. And on top of that, we're also using some of the A-company integration so we can actually show then more information than just the name. We can actually show some profile information based upon information that we're obtaining from our social graph and our Webex graph, so we can actually provide a lot more richer details about the people that are actually meeting with you, and you can see it directly on screen rather than having to fumble through over here on the side of, oh, wait a minute, I need to go look at LinkedIn or something for that, right, to see who they are exactly and who they've worked with maybe, right? So we bury that directly within these applications and show them within the screens themselves, which is fantastic. So we do the Webex Assistant, so we can say, hey Webex, join my meeting, and it will actually join your scheduled meeting in that room. We do the facial recognition where we show Tobias up there, I can see him, and we show the names of people, as well as the extended functionality of having a company integration and showing profile information. In-room analytics, we can count the number of people that are in that room, as well as noise suppression. We've got a whole bunch of things around noise suppression and removing all of the extraneous noise in the rooms. And the speaker tracking is fantastic to be able to automatically cut between people within the room, almost like a cutting room floor. And
Talking
hopefully it's
about
not landing on the cutting room floor. It's
So talking about
actually in the film.
noise suppression, how many times in the meeting you would have to ask people, hey, you are typing, can you really mute yourself? So with this noise suppression, now we detect that you are typing and we can really suppress that noise.
How many people have been in a video and it's just this really, really wide view and you see these tiny little people in the image, right? That's what we're completely getting rid of with speaker track and intelligent views, is removing that. So we can actually see the people as they're talking. We can see their facial expressions. 80% of communications is nonverbal. And if you can't see them, then you're missing 80% of the communications, right? All right, so let's go into a little bit more details on Webex devices. We've created devices that go all the way from boardrooms all the way down to your pocket. We have all kinds of applications around integrating for not only meetings, but Teams as well. So you can have messaging all within the same application if you wanted. And we provide this for every space effectively. So we create devices for every type of space across the entire portfolio, entire range of things that you would actually have inside of an organization.
So Michael, just to be clear, are you saying that whatever the device I have, I could have an Android app or an Android tablet or iOS, I can really use this app from anywhere?
Yeah, literally anywhere.
So you have the apps available for most of the...
I join meetings from almost everywhere. Travel all over, I'll either have some sort of cellular service or Wi-Fi or something. As long as I have network connectivity, I'm joining the meeting from wherever.
Okay.
So we always think about, of course, phones. Obviously, this is BroadSoft Connection Show, and it's a lot about calling. Obviously, we do messaging as well, right? But typically, we've only thought about these things as being voice devices. So we're layering on top of that a whole set of endpoints and a whole set of experiences that go all the way, again, from the pocket to the boardroom. And we actually have Red Dot Design Awards. We have 22 of them. So a lot of the room systems that you see up here at the top, the collaboration room systems, in the integrator solutions as well, we have Red Dot Design Awards for a lot of our products.
So what is this Red Dot Design Awards? I mean...
Oh, it's kind of like I suppose the Oscars of the design industry.
Oh, okay. So we have 22 of those for our devices.
We have 22 effective Oscars, but they're Red Dot Design Awards.
Oh.
Yep, so one of the nice things I think about what we've done with these room systems is we've created not only endpoints that have screens that are buried into them, but also we've created endpoints that can plug into screens. And as you come into the room, or as a meeting is starting to happen on the room, or has been scheduled on the room, then the room system wakes up automatically. It automatically wakes up, and if I walked in with my intelligent proximity, like my phone, and I happen to have it open or my desktop application, then it would automatically recognize me, that I'm actually in the room, and then I can join any meeting as me. And it actually shows up as me in that particular meeting with any of these endpoints that are registered to the cloud. So that's intelligent proximity to know who I am. Mm-hmm. And so if Devinder and I are in the same meeting, in the same room, it actually puts both of our names on that particular roster. So in the meetings list, if somebody's looking at the participant list, they'll actually see both of our names on the roster list.
Right, so I think talking about the views, I mean, we covered with this our intelligent proximity. So pretty much, we are able to just close in on the people who are speaking. We have the view, and I think few of you saw that in the morning in our presentation too, or demo, is like how we can just remove all the noise from the views, and just give you an intelligent view of the people and not really focusing on the whole room or the whole set of audience.
Yep, so being able to take and not only a wired connection, but being able to use any wireless device to be able to have intelligent proximity, and so I can actually share directly from whatever device and application. Even my iPhone, I can share screen directly from my iPhone and share into the meeting itself. We have smart rooms, of course, and we have lots of the
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. We have lots of the people count and for planning resources and so on. That's a primary reason for counting people within the room. And we also support a number of different integrations with third parties. And those control systems from third parties can also be integrated and create macros directly from our system. So when an actual call is inbound or there's a meeting starting, then we can actually send macros out to other systems to go change, turn on screens, drop shades, whatever it might be with third-party control systems. So we actually do a lot of integrations within the endpoint teams, being able to execute commands externally from it.
So I think I'll quickly touch upon the offers. Again, this session is not just about the offers, but I think just to give you a view on, so when we talk about calling, which pretty much traditionally you guys are used to with BroadCloud and BroadWorks, now we are adding Webex Meetings, Teams, and devices. And you are getting this everything with the Webex platform, which really gives you all of the analytics, security, and the APIs.
Okay, so you can go into the details with the flex plans, and the offers are being discussed in other sessions. But like we said before, in an answer to a question, that Teams is actually included in any flex deal. So if there's any flex licenses, it's automatically included. You get it for free in that deal.
And to get started, we have a flexible ways to purchase. Depending upon whether you are just trying to open it up for like a subset of users in the organization, you can go with a named user. But if you are at a stage where the whole organization is willing to buy, you can go with an enterprise agreement.
Yep. So,
and yeah, the good news is we are trying to make the whole offer very simplified. It's just a one flex plan, and you can pick and choose how you want to offer the calling. And as we said earlier, that the whole messaging comes free with the flex license, and then you can add on the meetings on top of it. And by the way, when it comes to calling, you do have the flexibility whether you want to go complete on-prem, as you have the CUCM, or you want to go cloud with HCS or BroadCloud or BroadWorks, or you can do hybrid. So we give you all this flexibility.
So why in the world do we want to choose Cisco then, with all of this stuff? We've created a consistent experience across all the different products, from the pocket all the way to the boardroom, as we talked about. It is massively scalable with the numbers that you saw earlier. We have massive scale that we can do. And we created a collaboration solution that is intelligent, connects to the devices, applications, and workflows that you're using and your customers are using.
Just to get one key takeaway from besides whatever we just talked about, is that this whole meetings and team experience is not just for the enterprise. If you're a SMB, we have shown you various use cases that for a smaller company, even for a sub-100, how this can be provide you an enriched experience. You are in the commercial space from 100 to 1,000 with all the Teams and messaging capability what we are showing you, and the devices that can be also allow you to really position this to those customers as well.
Great. Is there any other follow-up questions? You can talk to us afterwards. We'll hang around for a while.
So we'll hang around. I think we are running out of time, but Michael and will be here, and we can take those questions outside as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.